Hello. Hello, everyone. Dark Histories live stream. I haven't done one of these for a while. I'm going to be a little bit rusty, I think. But anyway, nice to see you all. Haven't done a live stream for a little while. Thought perhaps could maybe do one because Jessica's been drawing the illustrating the book covers for Dark Histories for a while now, and is getting on with season 6 at the moment. And I figured, like, rather than look at my ugly mug the whole time, we could actually look at something fun and interesting instead of me just droning on. And we could have a live stream of Jess doing some illustration for the book covers and a little bit of a Q&A. So, we can chat to Jess about the illustration and the book covers, or chat to me about, the podcast if you want, Q&A there. But anyway, Jess, nice to meet you. Say hello.
Hi, everyone.
So you've been doing the book covers since season 1. So it's like a couple of years now, right?
Yeah. Can't even remember when the first one came out, to be honest.
Me neither. It's been a couple of years, I reckon.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one, do you want to talk us through what you've done so far? Because it is quite advanced actually so far. So do you want to talk us through what you've done and what you're doing with this book cover?
Yeah, sure. So that side is the front cover, and I'm kind of tempted to let people guess what episode it's based on.
Yeah, because I can't remember, so maybe we might have to do that.
Nor can I. Yay! So yeah, guess where that's from, I guess. And then the back cover, I feel like, is pretty obvious. I mean, what's the one episode in season 6 that has anything to do with a hand or with an old hand?
I remember that one for sure.
Yeah.
Do you not?
No, I do.
Oh, sorry. What were you saying? I wasn't listening. I was looking at the chat.
It's fine.
I'm not very good at multitasking. Never has been. Sorry. Yeah. What were you saying?
Yeah. What's the one episode that's like?
That's the Yeti hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the it was the explorer who went looking for the Yeti in Tibet.
The Hollywood actor, isn't he?
No, he wasn't a Hollywood actor, but there was a Hollywood actor that smuggled the thumb back across the border.
Yeah.
It was the
whole thing is one big fever dream.
Yeah, it was the guy who acts in all the Alfred Hitchcock films, wasn't it? Stuart,
Rear Window guy.
Yeah, and he smuggled the thumb in his wife's handbag, I think, like back across the border. But it was
long suffering wife.
Yeah, but that's that episode. Where did he hide the thumb?
Rich, leave that to your own imagination.
Yeah, maybe that's probably for the best. No, I think he hid it in his. That's it. How Hallie's here. Hey, Hallie. Yeah, James Stewart.
Hi,
Stewart.
Hallie.
That's his name, isn't it? He hid it in his wife's like lingerie bag, basically. I think because he knew that they wouldn't check it at the border. So yeah, it's smuggled like international smuggling of like cultural artifacts, because that's what you did back then. if you couldn't get them, you just nicked them. Yeah, so no, that's that one, and yeah, the front cover. I can't. I can vaguely remember the episode. I remember it slightly, but
it's the Abbey.
Yes, so it was the. I thought we were letting people guess that. Sarah says, "Well done to Brighton, Europe next year. West Ham were just lucky to. Yeah, it's amazing." So yeah, that was
West Ham lucky every year. I'm allowed to say this, by the way, because I have a family of West Ham fans, but I feel like they're lucky to avoid relegation every year.
They always do the same every year, where they sort of are awful and then they pick it up at the end. This year they sort of picked it up slightly less high.
No, they were fine throughout the season, and then they dropped the ball. Excuse the pun, but yeah,
dropped the ball
towards the end.
But yeah, no, Brighton were amazing. It's the best season ever for Brighton. It's been amazing. It's been really good. But yeah, hello guys, long time listener here. Sending much love from Margate. Margate, awesome. Hey, Rainbow Haze Shop. But yeah, so that episode, I can't remember it really. It's it was the monk. He wrote a bunch of stories, didn't he? He basically like tried to record a bunch of like folk tales, didn't he? And so the episode was about his stories that he'd written, I think, and it was from some abbey up north in Yorkshire somewhere.
Not Kirkstall Abbey.
I can't remember the name of the abbey, but the ruins were taken from that, weren't they? Their idea, and then the abbey's ruins are supposedly haunted by this monk or whatever.
So the skyline, I'm not sure how well you can see it. The skyline in the background is actually the Himalayas.
It's actually the Himalayas.
Yeah, it's actually the Himalayas.
No, go on, explain.
So, this is how my brain works. No, I don't want to explain. I do want to explain, but it's long-winded and no one's going to find it interesting.
we've got at least an hour, and you've got to be drawing, so knock yourself
filler.
out. Yeah, exactly. Let's go.
My first thought when I thought of monks was Tibetan monks, right?
Right.
And I love like the kind of rockiness of and like the desolate expanses that you have in like the Himalayas and stuff like that. But a Himalayan monk doesn't quite have the spooky demeanor that I wanted to go with.
Doesn't have that kind of cold autumnal evening, sort of vibe, does it?
No.
But yeah.
But I did, and I also thought as well, you see like old monks and they've got like, or old Tibetan monks and they've got really bony hands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the beads as well. So I think that's why. Didn't they go and steal the Yeti's hand from the Himalayas?
Yeah. They stole it from
exactly.
the Himalayas.
There we go. Yeah. So that's the relevance.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Shut up. Only like how many months?
Yeah.
6.
Steph says, long time listener, have to catch this. Thank you very much. She was very kind, Steph. Steph J. And Amanda, haven't spoken for a long time. How are you doing, Amanda?
Amanda?
Yeah, I hope you're well. It's been a really long time.
Hello.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
So basically, though, when you're saying about the Himalayas and stuff, that bit you haven't drawn that because that's like explain a bit about how this works because that bit gets because this is like
have
if
you
we
got
look
a book,
I've got all the books. I don't know if you might want to pick like the best example.
Probably. Oh, that one's a bit. No, it's going to be the first one, isn't it? Right. I'll put it down here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, basically, I'll use it side by side so I can explain a bit. This, like the skeleton bit, all of this kind of like pencil drawn, and then this is all pencil drawn as well. And then the backgrounds, like the clouds and the sky and like the horizons, are generally just penciled in with like lines. Then I'll go over it like digitally. I'll add like some noise kind of filters just to give it that sort of, I don't know, I want to say like TV static almost.
Yeah.
Quite like that. But yeah.
Grungy.
You wish it was grungy.
Because I'm edgy. Yeah, really edgy.
Edgy as a spoon. Yeah, so everything that's penciled out here will be filled in like digitally on Photoshop. So I'll cut it out and then I'll fill it in and then I'll sort of like layer it on top of each other. And that's it pretty much. So I'm giving away all my secrets.
Oh.
There are no secrets here. There you go. Oh no, wait, I've got a pile down here.
It's all right, pass me.
Okay. Which one's your favourite one, just out of interest?
Which cover is my favourite?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Probably, I think the first one or the third one, which would be that one, the first one, or the third one, which was the Medusa.
Rafter Medusa, yeah. Which is my favourite episode.
And I like the green bicycle on the back as well. So Amanda says, I'm good tomorrow. We go to Montana to pick your bags and passport for do pick your bag. Are you still doing the Hobbit Town, Amanda? How's that coming along? Are you moving in? Have you built it? Like, because that's incredible. Yeah. So when we started talking about the books and stuff and doing the covers, we I can't remember whose idea it was because we kind of like I sort of said like, could you help me draw them because I can't draw at all.
Amanda's favourite one is the third one.
What, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my favourite as well. I like it. I like the colour a lot. But I also think it's quite dark and grimy. I like it. And I'd say I like the green bicycle because that was a good episode on the back. But yeah, I can't remember. I think the idea to split like the front and the back and have like one episode on the front and one on the back, but that kind of links across the spine so that the background links the two together.
Yeah.
we sort of came up with that idea, and then ever since we just picked like an episode from each season, didn't we? But I don't know, which one's your favourite then?
I think for me it's the first one.
Yeah, I do like that one. It's really good.
Only because I remember having the idea for it, like even before the books were even a thing.
It's
I remember listening to
what
the
you were going to
episode.
draw the picture or whatever.
Yeah, so like the picture was like already kind of in my mind.
So what episode is from? It's from
Bella and the Witch Elm.
Bella and the Witch Elm, yeah, that's it.
Which is a brilliant episode as well.
So long ago, right? I really struggle when people say like doing the live stream and stuff like that. I always kind of get anxiety about people asking about old episodes because
you've only done 150 of them, so I wouldn't beat yourself up about it.
I can't remember half of them. I'm like, oh no. But yeah, no, I like this one, and the farm on the back as well, because and I like the fact that the farm on the back is a bit of a like it's not obvious.
Yeah.
So because that was Hinterkaifeck, isn't it? And you have based the farm off of.
Well, it's exactly the house and like the outbuildings are exactly what if you look up the farm itself, they're pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah,
well, not exactly the same. That's giving too much credit to my drawing skills, but yeah.
But you use the farm as a reference
for
the thing. But I like the fact that it's quite. It's not obvious. Do you know what I mean? It's like you have to kind of guess it or figure it out. I quite like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're the books anyway. What now? Do you want to get on with some drawing?
This is what happened on my last. I do live streams sometimes.
Yeah, so we should probably explain. This is Jessica Deer, Jessu Deer over on Instagram. Sorry, I totally butted in. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
It's all right. I'm not good at multitasking either. So if I'm going to draw,
okay, you draw, and I'll. So Jess, the reason like this live stream came about, this idea came about, is because I haven't done a live stream for ages, and to be honest, it's largely because I just think most people don't want to just spend an hour looking at me talking at the camera. Yeah, Jess does these drawings on her Instagram. You do like Instagram lives of you doing sort of like live painting and live drawing.
Yeah.
And I just thought maybe it's not a bad idea to like do a bit of a crossover, and you could finish off the book cover here whilst we do a live stream sort of Q&A thing.
Finish might be a bit too optimistic, but yeah.
Well, you know. Continue.
Bearing in mind, I've literally coloured that bit in the entire time that we've done it so far, and we've been on for like 15 minutes. So
yeah, well, you know,
be lucky to get like half a square inch done, I reckon.
Well, it's half a square inch that wasn't done before, so
all progress is progress.
And bear in mind, this season was finished in December. It's a good job I'm not paying, really.
No, I'm paying with my sanity.
Yeah, it's precisely. Am I planning to make a Lizzie Borden episode? I don't know, Stardoll. I possibly Lizzie Borden, things like that, are like ones that I worry about doing episodes like that, because I worry that I'm just adding noise to like what's already out there, because there's so many other sort of podcasts that have covered it. But sometimes I get the urge to do them anyway, like those sort of popular episodes anyway. I mean, I'm not that Dark Histories is like super underground or anything, but like, you know, I do try to do topics that aren't necessarily like super well done all the time, and then sort of splice a bigger topic in now and then. So there's like, not saying never, but it would probably be like, if I have categories of potential episodes, which I sort of do, it would be in a category which would be like 1 or 2 a season of like, or maybe 3 or 4 a season of something that's a bit more well known that I'll sort of splice in. So yeah, maybe.
I'm gonna hop in here.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say that your research is so thorough that I actually think sometimes doing these more I'm gonna say the things that you're not gonna say.
Okay.
Because you're too modest. But your research is so like thorough. Sometimes I think that you can give like an alternative spin to like the main things.
Well, I mean, that was kind of when I first started. So the first season is full of like bigger stories, and that was kind of the idea behind it. When I started the podcast, was like, you know, I want to take these subjects and do a better effort on them than just look through Wikipedia. You know, that was always the effort. but so yeah, that's why I don't mind doing it from time to time. So yeah, like I say, like possibly. I don't have any like plans to do one like at the moment, but I'll put it on a list and yeah, possibly. Yeah, why not? Amanda says her first book for feels and nostalgia, and because it's the first, but the third for the color concept and the Medusa. Yeah, how humans smoke jerky meats. And then Amanda says finish a backlog first. Yeah. So I mean, I have like, I mean, Hallie has got a list of so many suggestions, like listener suggestions, and then I've got a list as well that I keep of stuff that I just find whilst I'm browsing the web, and that is like a good 2 pages long of like, so I don't know how many lines that is, but that's like at least 3 or 4 seasons worth of episodes that I could potentially dip into, and I look at that every now and then that's on top of the stuff that I just stumble into. Like I mean, the last episode I don't think I had a plan for that. I just stumbled across the story and was like, oh, that'll do. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit terrifying because sometimes I feel like, I've been doing Dark Histories for like 6-7 years now, and like, yeah, this is season 7. Like, how many stories are really out there that have got enough content for an episode, but they don't end. They just keep coming. I don't think I could be doing this for the rest of my life and still be writing, 10,000 word long stories every 2 weeks, and there'd still be content. So yeah, backlog's a bit big. Yeah. But that's all right. It's kind of fun. It means I don't get bored, because I can always just sort of, there's always something exciting that's interesting coming up for me to do, because no matter what I'm feeling like doing, I can do it. So yeah, that's cool. Jess, feel some time. I'm not much of a. This is also why I don't do live streams, because I'm just not much of a host. Jess can say what Ben can't. I'll type what Hallie can't. Amanda can definitely. I know that Amanda can definitely type what Hallie can't, and can say what I can't as well. And can tell me to shut up as well, which is what she usually does. It has been a while, Amanda, since you've held abuse at me. So I'm sort of waiting for it.
Yeah, he needs to be put in his place. I don't know what you're doing.
Oh, it will come. It will happen before the end of the live stream. Amanda will abuse me at some point.
Brilliant.
Reginald says, which kind of stories do you find you enjoy researching the most? The paranormal, the crime, or the cryptozoological? Oh, that's a good one. So like, I love like the paranormal, probably, because I love the fact that no matter what sources you read, you think you've read all the sources, and then you'll find some just bizarre, some bizarre tale that is just brilliant. So yeah, I think probably I mean, it's sort of a multiple part question, because I enjoy them all, but for different reasons. Like the paranormal ones, I probably are the most fun in terms of enjoyment, just because I get so much enjoyment out of it. Because, like I say, like you'll find some newspaper article that will just make me laugh, because it will just be just absurd language and some weird story or whatever. And so that's kind of why I like that. But the crime ones are probably the ones I enjoy the most from just a logical perspective, because I really like the way I approach true crime episodes. Is like I lay it all out in my mind, like sort of chronologically, and get it all set, and to true crime episodes, to me, they feel very much like organizing a desk or something, and I get that same satisfaction of, like, when you tidy your house or tidy your desk space or whatever, and I kind of get that same satisfaction from the research in the true crime episodes, because you've basically got this jumbled mess in front of you, and you have to put it into some sort of structure and story that makes sense, like chronologically, or if you're messing with a timeline like I did with this last week's episode. And I like researching the true crime episodes from that perspective, in that they give me a lot of satisfaction. I feel like a lot like I've organized things, because trust me, I can't organize my desk space at all. So being able to organize that, I don't know, it feels that I like that. And then the cryptozoological ones, I enjoy that almost a bit like the paranormal one, but take it to the extremes, because they have a problem, the cryptozoological ones, I find, in that it can be quite difficult to actually find anything worth writing about. And the reason I don't do more cryptozoological episodes, even though I would love to, is that often I just don't think there's enough content for an hour out there, because a lot of cryptozoological stuff is like hearsay, and it will be one story repeated 10 times by 10 different people, because they're sort of, a lot of it is like urban legends.
Sorry.
He's laughing at Amanda saying this guy can barely organise his show notes. That's so true, Amanda. Like, see, this is what, like, it's not just abuse, it's cutting abuse. That's the thing.
There's always an element of truth in the best jokes. So. I mean, pretty terrible. Hallie's backing that up as well.
Yeah, just dog pile. Come on, everyone get on. Why not? But yeah, Hallie says Byland Abbey is the abbey that was in the drawing.
Whereabouts, Hallie? Do you know whereabouts up north?
I know where it is. It's Yorkshire.
Yorkshire's massive though.
Yeah, that's why I can say it confidently and say it's Yorkshire.
That's like a third of things are like, it's Yorkshire.
Yeah, I don't know where in Yorkshire, but yeah, it was the monk of Byland Abbey, wasn't it? And he wrote he wrote a bunch of stories about ghosts, and there was that one about the shape-shifting ghost that followed the guy home and kept changing into like animals and stuff.
Sorry. This is relentless already.
Yeah. If only we had show notes to reference. Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, Amanda, I remember you actually stopped listening to the podcast and just read the show notes. But yeah, to be honest, I don't know if anyone. So what we're like. I used to provide my show notes that I used to keep on Patreon, but recently I've not been putting them on there. But actually, you'll be impressed with this, Amanda. Look, this is my notes from last episode. I actually color coded them for the first time in my life. I actually look at that. I had color coding.
He's growing up.
That was good, wasn't it? That might have actually say, but with maps. I haven't done maps since like season 1. Or season 2, yeah, it's hard work. All this note writing and podcast writing, can't keep up with it. It would have been better if we could actually. All right, I'll put the notes up. I'll dump like 100 episodes worth of notes.
God, this is your doing, guys.
So when you're like illustrating with these book covers, right?
Yeah.
Like, apart from like the challenges of working with me, which is tough in itself.
I mean, that is the challenge.
Yeah. Like, what do you find out any other challenges that you've come across, like having to deal with specifically for book covers and stuff? Because like yesterday, well, we were talking about this one, and I was saying about maybe doing like the bunting stuff that they put up in the Himalayas, to make it look more kind of like Tibetan monkey. But the problem we had is like on a back cover, you've got to have like barcodes and stuff, and it was right where the barcode would go that I was suggesting it. So obviously that's, it shows how much it, like, my graphic design skills. But like, so stuff like that, have you found that like illustrating for book covers, for example, is more restrictive or anything like that?
To be honest with you, I'm so like, in the work that I do, I'm not a massive fan of backgrounds anyway, so it's not too much of an issue in terms of like filling it up. Like, I like having the blank space. I like having the negative space to work with.
And there's quite a lot of that.
Yeah, and it acts as a frame as well. The thing that I have an issue with is when I've finished a piece and I don't like it.
Why? Is there any covers that you've done that you don't like? Go on.
The 5th one, the orange one.
What, the
Yep, don't like it.
dog?
Don't like it at all.
What one was this from? What episode? So this was from. It was.
The back covers the.
The back cover was good. That was the.
Oh really? I don't like it at all.
Really?
Yeah, the whole thing. Like when
So
I
the back
finished it,
cover
I
was
was just
the-
like,
Hold on. This is why I spent hours setting up this thing. So the back cover is the rabbits, but that was the rabbits from the witches, the Italian witches, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the front cover though, I can't remember what the front cover was from. The front cover.
Oh, it was. It was
So
werewolves.
Ben and Dante, anti-witches in the Inquisition.
It was something to do with werewolves.
Wasn't Scratching Fanny.
I should definitely do it. I've done a
No,
cover of that.
no.
How many times has Ben changed his mind after you finished? Do you know what? He hasn't.
I've tried my best to be hands off because I used to before I
To the point where it's taken me like a year to finish this.
Yeah, so way back when, like before I even became a hairstylist, so like straight out of university, like 20 years ago, I worked as a graphic designer, and I hated clients who would just like not let me get on with it. So I tried my best to just suggest a handful of episodes to Jess and say, you draw which ones you enjoy the most, or that you think you'll enjoy drawing the most, because also I think if you enjoy it, then it will.
That's what I mean.
Finished
like,
in time, and it will. But if you enjoy it, you'll enjoy drawing it, and you'll do a good effort. Do you know what I mean? Because anything you don't like enjoy doing, you're not going to do a good job. I don't think so.
I mean, this is the reason that the 5th book cover really upsets me, because I say really upsets.
So
me.
what don't you like about it? Because it's Lou Garou, by the way. It is Lou Garou.
Like the French.
Yeah.
The
French.
I don't know. I don't think it does the episodes justice at all. Like I loved those episodes for the cryptology, and like especially the Ben and Dante one. Like that was awesome.
Yeah.
Like tiny witches riding rabbits with sticks of fennel, was it?
Yeah.
Amazing.
So do you know what I like about this one though is that it's got like a callback to the episode 1 with the trees that are kind of the same. And
yeah, but again, I don't, because compared to the first one, those trees are trash.
All right. Well, I quite like it.
Good. I also don't like the fact that I've done like that Moony thing, and I just don't like it, which is a real shame because I love the concept.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my gripe with that. Put it in the bin.
Okay.
No, don't.
So Reginald says, been really loving your folklore histories too. Any surprises? Oh no, it's just gone out the. Oh yeah, I could do that.
Sorry, Rich, who pulled a Moony? It's only over and over OnlyFans, that one.
Sent the day, Rich. Been really loving your folklore histories too. Any surprise you found when peeling back the layers of things like black dogs or screaming skulls? I don't know about surprises, but with the screaming skulls, you mentioned that episode. The one I think the thing that I really enjoyed with that one, and that was a bit of a surprise, was how secretive people with screaming skulls in their family or in their estates or whatever were about them, and how I contacted a few people, and it was really difficult to get them to open up and talk to me about it. And one person was really, really friendly and was really helpful, and has actually organised with me, not organised with me yet, but has basically given me an open invitation to go and visit his house at some point and check out his screaming skull and stuff. But outside of that one person, I found it really difficult to actually get people to open up about it. And that surprised me, because I thought when you see it on documentaries or in books and stuff, you see people, they seem to be quite up for talking about like, oh, cool, we found this skull in the wall or whatever. But it just didn't seem that way. It seemed a lot of people were quite closed about it. I don't think it helps that when you're doing a podcast and you introduce, obviously you have to do like a kind of, cover letter almost in the email. And so you sort of say, oh, my name's Ben and I write and produce a podcast. And I think instantly it puts people on the back foot sometimes, because you know, they don't know what sort of podcast you are, and as much as I don't want to get pretentious about it, you know, I do think Dark Histories is sort of semi-serious. You know, it's not academic or anything, but it's not sort of the Daily Star either. So, or you know, the Sunday Sport either. So, you know, but I think people instantly like feel sort of go on the back foot. I find that when I contact people for interviews as well. There was I recently was contacted this guy about an interview that I'm trying to organise with him, but he's quite difficult to work with, and he's very like unsure about the podcast stuff. So yeah, that was kind of a surprise with the Screaming Skulls. Anyway, that these people with Screaming Skulls are very secretive about their identities, and you know, that they have them.
I feel like for the Americans, we should make them Google Daily Sport.
Don't do that if you're at work. Like, definitely don't do that if you're at work. It's the National Enquirer. It's the British like so the Daily Sport or the Sunday.
If you have the guts, Google it at work.
Well, if you've got the you know,
incognito browser,
yeah, or enough money saved up for after you be fired. But yeah, no, it's basically the British version of the National Enquirer, I think. Yeah, I think that's probably an apt like analog for it. Mitch doing the promotion there for me. Where are these books available from? Well, thank you for asking, Rich. They're on Amazon. They're all on Amazon. Yeah, I think if you search Ben Cutmore on Amazon or Dark Histories, you should find them.
Also, can I just say, Amanda, I will always be that artist, because every time I finish a piece, I don't want to look at it again.
Rich says, have you heard of the Lambton worm? I have not.
I have.
But that sounds mental.
It's a dragon.
It's a dragon?
Yeah, so worms like...
Worm as in W-Y-R-M.
At least I think it's a... Is it from... It's not Wales. No, where is it? No, it's definitely... Yeah, it's definitely a dragon. I know that for sure.
That sounds fun.
Oh, do an episode about a dragon.
So I thought about doing it. So like I do have an episode sort of lined up roughly about that. Reginald says, I know you speak Japanese. Ever plan on doing a show about yokai? Yeah, maybe. So I really hate the fact that I don't utilize my language ability with Dark Histories enough, because I feel like there's probably like stuff out there that will be like I can get to that's sort of slightly unique because of that. But I don't tend to do it that often. But like there are loads of yokai episodes that I could do. There's the one that I was really wanting to do that I think a lot of people sort of picked up was and it got kind of overdone by the time I thought about it, was the woman with the torn mouth, but I can't remember now what that was called.
Oh, where she covers it, and then if you see it, you're like pretty much dead.
It's all cut open and stuff. Yeah. But other than that, like even like the traditional yokai and stuff, there's like massive amounts of stuff that I could get into there. So yeah, I definitely do. I remember I did a Japanese folk horror story for the I think for a Halloween special once, and that was really fun because I sort of translated it and rewrote it, and that was cool. But
I'd love to draw some yokai.
Well, maybe for this season, next season, then I'll try and fit one in.
I'll have it done by
2 years.
2026.
Yeah. Hattie says, you mean not everyone is comfortable admitting that they've possessed human skulls in their home? Yeah, you're surprised, wouldn't you, right? I guess it's because I guess it makes sense, really, because they probably just don't want people contacting them like me.
I reckon Amanda's definitely got at least 3.
What, possessed skulls in their property? She better have at least 3 possessed skulls in her Hobbit home if she moves into that. Oh, Rich says it's from the northeast.
Hey!
Like me, no relation.
How is he typing if he's a worm?
Amanda says, can we buy signed copies of the books? Yeah, probably. I don't know how I'd arrange it, but yeah, possibly. I don't know. I mean, I don't. My if you see my signature, you might change your mind, because I don't have that. So when you become famous and die mysteriously, I can resell them. I have loads of law school debt to pay off. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, you might get 50p more. Well, actually, probably make the books worth less. but yeah, I can probably do it. There's fingers crossed I won't die just yet, but I know I look like a sort of victim, but fingers crossed. Hennessy says, that's funny, I'd definitely showcase the skull. Me too. Do you know what I thought? That I would as well. I guess
I absolutely would.
Yeah, right.
100%.
I guess it comes down back to the fact that probably these people don't want people contacting them all the time. Asking them if they can come around and look at their skull. I don't know. Because that's basically what I did.
I actually knew someone when I lived in Newcastle who had a human skull. Because he used to go
Did
and
it
draw.
scream?
No.
What was it for?
Not when we were sober, anyway. It was he used to do illustrations for like medical illustration.
Right.
So he'd go to like autopsies and stuff.
Oof.
And draw that.
It's funny because
great conversation stuff.
Yeah, I reckon.
It's my favourite pickup line. Do you want to see my human skull?
But to have that pickup line work, you'd have to have it in your bag with you all the time.
Not if you're trying to bring someone home.
Well, if you haven't got it in your bag, you would have already brought them home. I mean, that's the time to bring it out, isn't it? Do you want to come back to my house for a coffee? Here's my human skull.
Would you like your coffee out of it?
Yeah, that's not going to work, is it?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'd hope not.
That'd work on me.
Rich says the story of the lantern worm. The story details a great slithering beast. Oh, a dragon that ate livestock and children along the river. The River Wear in England's County Durham. Wear. Yeah, Hennessy, want to come back to my collection? No, that lantern worm sounds cool, Rich. That's definitely.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to see if it's on the map. Hold the fort. Hallie sent me a map of the British Isles.
I'll show you my Yeti thumb if you show me your human skull.
So Hallie sent me a map of the British Isles that has all of the things like folklore and crypts, so zoology stuff and things like that. But I don't know where Durham is.
Durham's up northeast.
Well, that's Glasgow I'm looking at here.
Yeah, it's wrong side. Other side. Up here. That's Whitby.
That's Edinburgh.
Oh no, it's there. Because there's Chillingham. Yeah, Northumberland, and then down here, North York Moors. So you've got Newcastle there, Hartlepool, Middlesbrough.
All right.
So it's around here.
I don't see a worm anywhere, but I shall look.
Should we draw one on?
Just draw one on. The lantern worm.
It's got a really happy little face.
Slithering beast. Was the lantern worm the basis of the lair of the white worm? Rich, you are now the lantern worm specialist for this
chat. This live stream is about you now, Rich.
Yeah. Now, Rich, did you want to come on and talk about the lantern worm, Rich? A young lad cursed the river after he couldn't catch a fish. We've all done it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll show you my Yeti thumb if you show me your human skull. That's I'm
in. What's your favourite cryptid?
My favourite cryptid?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's these things in Australia that hang out of trees with, and their fingers
they begin with W.
Yeah.
And they've got like a wobbegong or something.
Yeah, it's some Australian thing. But they've got these weird sucker fingers, and they attach them to people's faces and then suck their blood out. I
feel like I just stepped into a planning session for a D&D game.
It's not far.
Nope.
Wrong. Not far.
Wobbegong.
Wobbegong.
Am I right? Is it actually a wobbegong?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Or is Hallie just taking it's Bigfoot?
Oh well, that what the favourite cryptid is Bigfoot. So I mean, Bigfoot is equal parts my least favourite and most favourite cryptid of all time. I think you endless content out of him, but it's just bonkers.
I think the people who see Bigfoot are my favourite cryptids.
Yeah, like that guy who did the Hallie will know what the title of this.
Hair.
Beautiful hair. So there's this old podcast, right, called the Unbelievable Podcast, wasn't it?
The Unbelievable Truth. Or...
No, it wasn't the
No.
Unbelievable Truth. It was just the Unbelievable Podcast, and they had it was hilarious. They did a Yeti episode that was amazing. But anyway, Hallie will know the documentary about the guy who goes searching for the Bigfoot, and he's got like weird 6-wheeled go-kart thing that he goes like off-road on looking for this Bigfoot, and it's like he's a cryptid if ever I've seen one.
A bunyip, Reginald.
Yeah,
bunyip. Wobbegums are sharks, apparently.
Drop bears. That's the same thing. Yeah, I think they go, but
aren't they koalas?
So I think that's probably what they were. Maybe, I don't know, because obviously like
just really drunk koalas.
Well, so obviously the folklore is like really, really old.
Yeah.
But you assume that they probably come from something in real life. So I bet you it like something like koalas or something probably is what spawned it before it started to kind of. That's it. Todd Standing, Discovering Bigfoot. Absolutely amazing documentary. That guy. I mean, he's something. Yeah.
So a bunyip's your favourite?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
What about you? I know Hallie's is definitely Bigfoot. Hallie lives for Bigfoot. It's like the thing is, I just feel sad that Hallie hasn't seen Bigfoot yet. Like that. I'm glad you asked the question without thinking of the answer.
Did I not say it?
No.
Sorry.
Why? Have you got an answer?
Nope.
Oh.
Because I was thinking in my head there was a stream of consciousness going on.
Okay. So.
I loved, I'm not sure it's my favourite, but one of the things I loved was going over to Iceland, and pretty much any weird rock formation was a troll.
Yeah, they love trolls, don't they?
Yeah.
There's some amazing folklore from Iceland. I did that episode about, it was another Halloween episode, I think. And there's an amazing like Icelandic folk story about the guy, like the kind of almost like death, who rides a horse through the winter, through the snow and stuff. And that was a proper terrifying story.
There are loads. I think loads of Japanese yokai are bloody amazing. There's that woman with the really long neck.
And there's hundreds, isn't there? There's like properly hundreds.
I really like as well. There's a tree that grows oranges, or is it peaches, that have little faces?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you can't eat them. Because, I mean, that would be the way to solve that one, wouldn't it? Just eat it. Would that be cannibalism?
No, because they're not human.
And I'm not a fruit.
Well.
Some might disagree. I just know in a comment discussion I had on a video about the emu war, drop bears got brought up, and I had to ask it's like a tourist scare joke about flesh-eating koala. The Exmoor beast. I don't know the Exmoor beast.
No, Exmoor beast is a giant cat.
Oh, so is that like a big cat thing? Because so big cats, right? There's a podcast called Big Cat Conversations. And the guy who does that is like well into his big cats in England, and he's convinced to the point where I think I really insulted him by sort of saying that his podcast was funny, and he didn't think it was, but it's a great podcast, and he's convinced that there are like whole like ecosystems of big cats that live in England, and like. I know that that's like a long running sort of folklore in England.
It's understandable though, isn't it? You've
got not when you break it down. Not really when you break it down. We have quite a small isle, and like there just isn't an ecosystem to support them, I don't think.
No, but I mean from like a superficial level, you can think that it's something that's feasible because like the Victorians having like their menageries and stuff like that. You've got wallabies hovering around like Hertfordshire.
Yeah,
someone just let them loose.
And like the park down the road is full of parrots.
Yeah, parakeets everywhere.
Yeah.
That my mum's constantly trying to chase away.
Yeah, that I mean, I do see the point in that. I do see the argument in that like you could say that they escaped and from like menagerie or whatever, and they populated the country or whatever. But I sort of think it's a bit of a stretch. But Big Cat Conversations is great. As you why does the artist know more than the podcaster? Amanda, everyone knows more than the podcaster. Like this is
Also, I'm just full of useless information.
the beauty of podcasts is no one can see your confused face the whole time.
Bemused.
Yeah, yeah, I mean the Big Cat Conversations guy, I actually got in touch with him and I was like, oh, you come on and chat about big cats, because I think that they're sort of my theory that they were roughly connected to black dogs and things like that, and I don't think he took it well. I don't think he liked the fact that I was comparing like big cats to folklore, that like like old folklore, and he was just like, sorry, I don't have time, and he was really snippy, and then in like this really like passive aggressive reply, he was like, but thanks for mentioning my podcast and your podcast. And now I listened to it back and I was like, oh yeah, you should listen to Big Cat Conversations, it's really funny. And I was like, oh, don't think you like that. but it's not, but it is a good, it's a great podcast. I like it, it's funny, I listen to it every week or whenever he releases them. But yeah, but cats are highly adaptable. Most are loners, and things like hunting. Cheetahs did catch on with Brits during the whole enchantment with Egypt era. Yeah, so like, it's funny. Like I do think it's plausible, and like when you see those like cats on the moors and stuff, like I'm really into those stories. This guy takes it like one step further in that he thinks there are like entire like communities of these things, and maybe he's right. He does a lot of research and stuff, but I would always just hark back to the fact that if they are there, why are there no photos? He very much.
Why have they not attacked people?
Well, I don't think they would attack people, but I think like if they really were there in that many numbers, we'd certainly have photos of them. I would have thought. I mean, this guy, he literally spends his weekends putting up trail cameras, and yet none of them take any photos. So. It's but whatever. Yeah. But a few cold weather big cats are adapted for warm and wet climates as well. Yeah, like I think the cats that he says are that he thinks is the ones that the main sort of staple of his argument are, I think he calls them black jaguars, or black leopards maybe, but they're basically like big black cats. So yeah, maybe, I don't know. I kind of like the idea that they might be out there. I'd kind of like to do an episode on them, but they're a bit too modern maybe, because I feel like they're sort of like the last sort of 50 odd years they've sort of come about. Like they were kind of big deal in the 70s, weren't they, with the moors and stuff. And I still think, like in my theory, I still think that I think there's legs in that they're sort of like the modern day black dogs. They're sort of taken over from black dog sort of folklore, because the black dog folklore was a bit more sort of demonic and stuff. And where we sort of shied away from that, I think big cats are almost like they supply the same outcome. Like they provide the same outlet as far as folklore goes, but without having to delve too much into the supernatural. And I think that appeals to a more modern sort of folklore. And so I sort of feel like that's not a bad theory. Probably the best theory I've ever had for Dark Histories. but I don't know. How's that going, Jess?
I mean, it's going. Come back in 6 months, might be done.
Yeah, maybe. That is it though, isn't it? Just the hand is all that's left to go.
Yeah, but I mean, I love drawing hands anyway. I know it's kind of an artist thing to say, like, oh my god, hands are a nightmare. But the only thing with this one is that it's so bony. Like, I've got a picture of a hand up because I didn't want to have to guess. And I mean, it looks better on the screen than it does in real life. It's all right though.
I mean, it's meant to be like a bony Yeti fingers hand, so
yeah, but it's not supposed to like look like a Yeti finger, really.
Is it not?
Well, it's based on the idea of like a sort of preserved hand.
So the actual, because when we were talking about this, I actually looked up like the image to show you, didn't I? Of the Yeti's hand, and it's pretty different to that.
Yeah.
But it's also barely recognizable as a hand.
Yeah.
Because it's this like ancient
Fingers are
mummified.
so long though as well.
Yeah.
Like the fingers.
Well, that's because it's a Yeti's hand. Duh.
Sorry, I forget. You see them so often.
Well, I've never seen them. That's the thing. But what were we saying?
I can't remember.
The actual hand. But yeah, so you've decided that that's not, you didn't want to like use the real one as a reference. You wanted to do your own thing.
Yeah, I also know that there's lots of kind of tales of dried, withered hands in like, you know, like cursed hands and stuff, like artifacts.
So
and
there's
stuff like the monkey's paw sort of stuff.
The monkey's paw, like the really famous one, and the thief's hand as well, isn't there? Where they burn it. You burn it like a candle, and it lets you be able to rob people's houses. And stuff.
Where did that tale come from? Like, where did that?
I did an episode that was sort of on that, but that whole stuff, I've got plenty of episodes in. There's an episode that about, and I've got a load of books over there about it, about how humans used like pieces of other humans throughout like the sort of 17th, 18th, and 19th centuries for like lots of different purposes, like medicine and stuff like that. And it's basically about like cannibalism, but not in terms of like consuming and eating like human body parts, just like in all the ways that we use human body parts. And there's definitely episodes in that because there is all sorts of stuff. But I mean, the thief's hand is pretty old.
Didn't the Victorians, like the unlucky mummy, didn't they consume bits of mummy? Like
yeah. So they crushed up. So there was like a really big part. So a lot of like the Egyptology of them stealing mummies and stuff. It's funny because the unlucky mummy, the mummies were shown as if they were artifacts themselves, but there'd already been like a long running like trade of people buying mummies to crush up and put in like powder and stuff that they would then like put in their food and eat and stuff.
Yeah.
For like virility and things like that.
Nothing like a bit of powdered mummy to get you going.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Yeah, so
now that is cannibalism though.
But that's what it all goes in. That's what it all feeds into. Is this whole kind of like, and because it's funny because you generally tend to think that like that whole idea is like, you know, in that colonial way, like, oh, it's, you know, the Western civilized society would never do that sort of thing. That's the barbaric people, do you know, the barbarians, the tribes or whatever. Like in you know, that's how the 19th century generally tended to speak. Was as if like the tribal people or the indigenous people were like were kind of barbaric. But then in fact, you know, because they had like different like religious ideas or whatever. But then it was them that were the ones that were like chopping up humans for medicine. Like, which one's barbaric now? Do you know what I mean? Like, but so that's kind of interesting thing. But there's definitely episodes in that for sure.
I remember being like fascinated with how I remember I was doing a art project once about the difference between displaying animal remains, so like taxidermy and stuff like that, and why we don't have a problem doing that, but so many places seem to have a problem now with displaying human remains, like ancient human remains, so like fossilized mummies, skeletons, that kind of thing. And there were like various museums that I'd gone to where you were totally allowed to take photos of the taxidermy and stuff like that, but it was prohibited to take photos of the mummies and the skeletons and stuff. And I always found it really interesting.
As like a respect thing.
Yeah, I guess. I went to a museum in Leeds. It was a medical museum, and they had the skeleton of, I think it was like one of the last hung women in England or something along those lines. Or maybe it was the first hung women or something. And it was tiny. And I remember thinking like, it was easily like 4 foot, maybe less. It was tiny, like fully grown woman. I remember thinking how bizarre it was getting like my camera out to take a photo and someone was like, no, don't do that.
That's weird.
So, but so many places do it.
It's weird that they won't let you take a photo because that's sort of disrespectful, but sticking them in a
sticking them in a glass
cabinet,
box. Yeah.
That's totally fine. No, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
File pass one by one. Check it out.
Yeah. Well, they did the Queen's in state, didn't they?
Maybe that's a little bit different.
Is it though?
I don't know. Rich says, have you ever seen the crap taxidermy website talking about the Queen?
I've got a book. I've got a crap taxidermy book, and it's the best thing ever. And I hate myself for finding it so funny.
No, I think it's hilarious.
Is it? Searched on eBay. Taxidermy.
So when I started decorating my lounge, I painted it this blue color and that, and I wanted to do this kind of like sort of like pseudo Victorian, modern Victorian thing. And I started looking for like taxidermy and that, and there's just so much of it on eBay. I've found these like
Hell's Angels toads or something.
Yeah, and there was mice that were like dressed up in like clothes and with like gun belts, like bullet belts.
The beaver. It was the beaver.
It was awful.
There was a beaver with like Rambo beaver.
Yeah. It was, and surprisingly, they went for much more money than like the pheasants, because I wanted to get some pheasants, but then I realized my dog would just go mad on them. And yeah, the pheasants were like relatively cheap. They were like about 100 quid each. I mean, I say cheap, they weren't cheap at all, but compared to taxidermy, pheasants were like relatively cheap. And all these crap taxidermy, like mice with like gun belts and AK-47s and stuff, were like for like a couple of £100 or like it's really expensive.
Oh my god, necro pants, Amanda! I've seen a pair.
Okay, you're gonna need to explain this one.
They're amazing. So I went to a witchcraft museum in Iceland, and they had a pair of necromancer pants on display, and they're horrible.
What are they? Describe them.
Oh, sorry. They're literally, it's just human skin. They're like human skin tights.
Oh, cool.
And you just wear them, I guess, to do witchy
necromancy.
Stuff. Necromancy.
So,
wearing my necromancer pants.
Are they actually like human skin?
Yeah.
Like they
I'm not sure these ones were real because the hair was very like just looked like it had been PVA'd on. Necromancer.
Yeah, Hallie says, did they fit? That's the thing. You'd have to kill someone. You'd be sizing them up before you killed them. You'd be like, do you mind if I just have a look at your legs? And you pop your leg there next to mine. I reckon.
Is it like when pythons like lie next to you to size you up? And
yeah, yeah. So,
just gonna get someone like sizing you up, like, yeah. No, I can see that.
I can squeeze into them.
I reckon you're a size 10. Yeah. Don't get any ideas.
I don't want to kill people. They're to bring wealth to the wearer. So if you wear them around, then you get rich.
If only it was that easy. At least we know how Elon Musk did it.
Oh, he's definitely wearing human skin. He's definitely like...
He's got a full-on human skin suit.
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, what is it, Buffalo Bill?
Yeah, he's definitely a lizard being.
Sheds his skin.
So we've been on for an hour. So I mean, if anyone has any questions, now's about the time to ask them. So I'm happy to sit here for longer, but I don't really have any content. So if anyone has any questions, then I guess are you happy to carry on drawing for a bit?
Yeah, I'm happy with whatever.
Like if anyone has any questions, we'll. But if not, then we'll wrap it up. But we want. Oh, Sarah.
Yeah, definitely go. There's so many, many crap models.
Is that the one with the Human Penis Museum, or is that?
That's in Reykjavik, but I went to that too.
Right. Okay.
That was eye-wateringly fascinating. They got like a velvet pillow for the human one. They haven't got the human one yet. They've just got a picture of the guy who's donating it.
Yeah, I watched a documentary about that.
I watched
a documentary about him trying to get the human one. Rich says, would you cover regional folklore like all different counties? Yeah, totally. Like to be honest, I find it sometimes easier to do stuff that isn't local to me anyway, because the local stuff is actually tends to get, I suppose it's more authentic in a way, but you end up actually like not knowing. So like as an example, there's a hill near me called Devil's Dyke, and the reason I thought it was called Devil's Dyke isn't true, and that's because around here it's just what everyone tells you it is, but that's not where historically it comes from. So like so weirdly, like doing local folklore is actually quite hard, because you have your own ideas that growing up in the area that kind of color it and sort of twist the actual history of stuff, which in a way is kind of the evolution of folklore. But when you're trying to tell a story, that's not really that helpful. But yeah, Amanda, I miss you guys. Yeah, it's been a really long time, Amanda. We need to catch up. We need to play some D&D or something sometime.
I can't promise I'll make the whole campaign this time. I would fully blame my ADHD for that one.
We bought some interesting salt and pepper shakers for my mum at the Icelandic Phallus Museum. Customs went through my bag and they were right on top. Nice. Customs always do that. Customs went through my bag once and found something on top, and I got kicked out. That's not. I realised halfway through that story that
I got kicked.
That's not a story for the live streams.
Good times.
it wasn't customs, it was security guards. I wasn't trying to smuggle into a country. We went on a tour in primary, and they were recreated a body that they found. It was gas. Oh, is that the bog god bodies, Hennessy? Because that's Irish, isn't it? The way it preserves the bodies and stuff. Wasn't there that one in Ireland that was like a big deal for a while, and then they found out that it was fake? There was the
was it the woman, the Icelandic?
The
Ice Age woman.
Yeah, maybe it was. I don't know if it was a woman or a man, but it was like an old Ice Age body that they found. But then it turned out and for years everyone thought it was legit, and then they turned out that it was fake.
How do you fake something like that?
Don't know.
Like, it must have been a genuine body.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to be. There was that alien body that they faked that they'd made out of chicken.
Yep.
They made it out of a chicken thigh. They made its flesh out of chicken thigh. And they found out by DNA testing it, and it came up as like chicken.
How?
What do you mean?
How big was the alien?
I don't know. If you've got a bit of time, a chicken thigh, a couple of sticks, and some sellotape,
I'm gonna give it a go.
I'll make an alien for you. But yeah. Fun fact for 3.5 D&D net to evasion and charisma. Yeah, I've never played 3.5 D&D. I've only ever played, is it like the 5.0 D&D? Or
I think I don't.
But being a dark bard is very much my thing. Yeah.
I think I will always be a chaotic bard.
Last campaign I played, I was a Hall of Shadows bard, I think. And then the campaign before that, I used bard as a template to sort of become this weird witch doctor. That was fun.
Was that the one that had an invisible sheep friend?
Yeah, that
was the invisible goat.
That was one I did for the podcast.
Yeah.
And I was a witch doctor who had Shub-Niggurath, the Lovecraft goat, following him around everywhere that no one else could see. Yeah, that was a fun campaign. that was really fun. Ever plan on making more food videos? Yeah. Do you know what that was going to be? Like, I wanted to make a series out of that, but I just didn't. But I will, because I loved that. It was really fun, and the next one I was going to do is a cake, because some of the instructions were absolutely bonkers. One of the instructions was throw the cake like across the room. Like it's weird. So yeah, I definitely will be doing more food videos for sure.
I showed some of my students when you came out with that one. I put
the food video.
Yeah, because I was like, guys, would you eat this? And we watched the entire thing, and they just looked at me afterwards and were just like, why would you do that to us?
No one would eat that. So yeah, definitely. even more likely now because I've just recently got like a motorbike, so I can go and get the ingredients that, because before it was because some of the ingredients were a little bit difficult because I tend to shop like locally rather than like supermarkets. But some of the ingredients were not always like available to me like locally. But now I've got like a motorbike, I can go and get ingredients. So yeah, I definitely will be doing more food videos because they were hilarious. I really enjoyed doing that video. That was so much fun. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely will be doing more food videos at some time because they were funny. Hallie says, in case you can't tell, Ben kind of flits in whatever direction the wind takes him. Yeah, basically. I like something will be like a really good idea, and I'll be like, yes, I'm going to do that, and then I'll do it once, and then I'll like.
That's done now.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I wanted to do more, and I definitely will do more, and it'll be much easier now. So yeah, I've got all the recipes. I put them into a doc. Like Google Doc account document when I did it, like all the rest, because obviously I just stumbled across recipes all the time in old newspapers, so I would just copy and paste them over, and I've got a Google Doc like full of these like recipes, but they're like like pages and pages of them. So yeah, I definitely will. Will I make homemade laudanum? Can you do that? I suppose you probably can. I don't know. I could give it a go. Is that illegal? Is that fine?
In the safety of your own home, whatever.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I'm not sure I'll be testing it. A bit old for that now. But did I ever cover John Gill, the unsolved murder of the 8-year-old Victorian boy, Amanda? I don't think so yet. I think I've got a book on that. And I might do. Is this the same Victorian food recipes I made on the Discord eons ago? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but you made good versions, so Amanda can actually cook. So this is the thing. So Amanda made good versions. I made that hideous beefy bacon thing. It
wasn't beefy. It was like boiled bacon. Oh. Was it cabbage as well?
Yeah.
Boiled bacon, cabbage, gravy,
carrots and swede, I think.
And it all just went in a bowl in like a mold.
Yeah.
And it just went grey.
It was repulsive. Do you know what? Like I'm vegetarian, but I don't mind cooking meat. Like I never had an issue with that. But with this one, the bowl was full of this like juicy water, and that turned my stomach pretty bad. It was pretty weird. It was horrible. But then I'm not sure if it helped that I bought the cheapest bacon I could possibly buy for that.
Yeah, so the majority of it was probably like saline.
Yeah, it was really bad. But yeah.
Tasty.
Yeah. And on that note, Amanda says, got to go, guys. Talk soon. Stay well. Cheers. Yeah, it was really nice to speak to you, Amanda. And definitely we'll have to catch up soon. For some reason or another, we can make some excuse to catch up. But yeah, and I think we shall probably call it a night on the live stream as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. And yeah, if you have any other questions or whatever, save them up and we'll do another live stream because
I got more than a square inch done.
That the hand still needs finishing. So like maybe we'll do another one in a couple of weeks or something. But if not, I would like to do more live streams anyway. Again, like the food videos.
I'll post some progress stuff on my Instagram if anybody wants to.
Yes, Jess, why don't you talk about your Instagram? Bit of promotion.
Oh, do I have to?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, my Instagram handle is down on the little banner bit. Jessica Deer on Insta. Jessu_Deer. I've got a website too, and I'm doing live streams bi-weekly at the moment, where it's very casual, just like chit chat and drawing if I manage to get any done. I also ask people, or like my followers, like all 130 of them, what they want to see me draw. So yeah, come along, why not?
There you go.
Cool.
Bosh.
Bish bash bosh.
That's paid for the covers.
Yes, thank you. Good. I can buy food with that.
Yes. Anyway, thanks very much for coming along. Yeah, and say we'll hopefully do another live stream soon. But yeah, until then, yeah, another episode in a week and a half or so. Thanks very much for coming. It's been wonderful to catch up with old faces and new as well. Yeah,
and it's
thanks
been
very
lovely
much.
to meet you.
Yeah. Cheers. Gonna end this, and this is the awkward bit now where it takes a little while.